Mazda 3 versus Mazda CX-30 compact hatch versus compact SUV. Glad you joined us. This will be a very interesting comparison episode. This is the Mazda 3 in the front, and you can see here a big front grille with a black design package we have here today. So this part would usually be in chrome or bright is black today. Optional, you can get matrix LED lights. These are also the matrix LED lights, but normal LED are also standard. You can see here very nice Sol Crystal Red, or Magma Red as it's called in Germany. This color has different layers and therefore appears so shiny. The front grille of the CX-30, the SUV, is more upright and also higher, and also more ground clearance right here. An interesting difference, daytime running light. The CX-30 has here this one dot and then the ring also around, but not that clear, I would say. And the Mazda 3 does have the, let's say, extended ring, so it's longer here and therefore more shiny, I would say. In the side profile, 4.45 meters or 175 inches for the Mazda 3, and the Mazda CX-30 is around 6 centimeters or 2 inches shorter. But overall, not too much of a length difference, at least if you compare hatch versus SUV. The Mazda 3 also available as a sedan or called fastback. That one then is way longer. 18-inch wheels here in the design selection package. Usually 16-inch would be standard, and then you directly hop to 18-inch. And the Mazda 3 here in the side profile, this huge C-pillar, that is crucial for the design of the vehicle, and also the slim window line right there. Therefore it looks so sporty. We also have the 18-inch wheels for the Mazda CX-30, and with the CX-30 the characteristic sign is this one here, this huge cladding, to my taste a little bit too big actually, but what do you think? And then the side profile, typical compact SUV style. Interesting color here, by the way, this is called polymetal gray. And in the rear, round tail lamps look, but then horizontally drawn, and overall the sexier rear for the Mazda 3 with the round shapes right there and glossy black in the lower end. Both real exhaust tips, by the way, so no job for the Autogefuel fake exhaust police. That's always an honest design by Mazda. And the CX-30 here with this higher look, typical SUV look in the rear. So the question is, what's your favorite? By the way, here and here, the just plain more rugged look for the CX-30 SUV. Engines, 2-liter 4-cylinders, petrol engines, naturally aspirated, 120 or 150 horsepower. Or the Sky Active X. This one combines petrol and diesel technology, so there's a compressor on the inside for a self-ignition process. Really interesting. Now 186 horsepower, that's an upgrade. They promise more power and less fuel consumption. We have the same engines, CX-30 and the Mazda 3. The diesels are no more, even not in Europe anymore, at least in most markets, because no one goes for them anymore. So Sky Active X is the choice if you want the best performance. Acceleration figure here is 8.1 seconds for the Mazda 3, 8.3 seconds for the CX-30. They are also available with all-wheel drive and also with automatic gearbox. But today, Sky Active X, front-wheel drive, manual gearbox. This is now very interesting for the boot comparison. 360 liters manual hatch, Mazda 3, 430 liters, so 70 liters more in boot capacity for the Mazda CX-30 electric hatch. Yeah, takes a while. And then interesting is that the length here with the Mazda CX-30 is 31 inches or less than 80 centimeters, whereas here with the Mazda 3 we are at 34 inches or 86 centimeters. So this one here, you know, really substantially longer. But the crucial thing is the height. The width, a meter or 40 inches, no problem. But here the height, about 19 inches or 48 centimeters. Whereas then with the CX-30, we're here. And when we remove this one, by the way, sideways folding mechanism. Why? That's unusual and no idea why they do that. So here then the height is almost 21 inches, or here then more than 50 centimeters. So because the height here is more than the liter capacity is more. However, you have to put out this one. So clearly from a customer perspective, you can put more things in the Mazda 3. However, you always have this loading step here. That's not that practical, whereas the CX-30 has the even loading area when you put this side folded thing once again in here. Yeah, I'm not sure if I would ever put that out and just maybe like, sorry about that, and enjoy the even loadings. Weakness of both vehicles is that they have tiny rear legroom. We start with the Mazda 3, and you can see here, so it doesn't really fit when I'm driving as a tall driver, 1m86 or 6'1", then I do hit, the back seat with my knees. Headroom wise, also pretty cramped. It does work when I don't put my spine all the way up, but it's really close, and overall, a very cramped feeling here. So the Mazda 3 has around 7 centimeters or more than 2 inches longer wheelbase than the CX-30. So that should mean that the CX-30 would be even worse in legroom. That's the case. So let's get inside, and you can see here it's also super close. I also hit the back seat with my knees. Headroom is actually a little bit better. So that's better here. And the thing is, it is even a little bit worse, but it's not that much worse as the figures, would expect, because here you sit a little bit more upright, and that saves the seating position somewhat. So if you want to drive at least with 3 very tall adults, move this seat here a little bit more to the front. That counts for both vehicles. And what also counts for both vehicles is another construction flaw. So when you want to fold the back seat forward like this, that's the usual result. So in order to have everything folded then for the maximum trunk capacity, you have to move the front seat really way to the front like this. And just to show you, in the position where the rear bench would fold, it's not the ideal position then once again for tall drivers. So, and this is also the case for both vehicles. Take the black pill or take the black pill for the key fobs. They're both the same. This is the one for the Mazda 3 in this case. So, door closing sound first. That doesn't sound too good. And rear door closing sound, even worse. And so this is, one weakness of the vehicle. We see high build quality on the interior. This, however, door closing sounds, they haven't put any emphasis on this yet. Maybe they will in the future when they watch this video. Then here, soft touch at the inside of the doors, optional Bose sound system, and this is everything very well processed what we see here now. A modern steering wheel, also with nice buttons right here, clicking sounds even a little bit, and good build quality as for this case, Sumo to instrument and the infotainment screen. Seats would usually start with a black fabric. These are also the ones then to go for with the black fabric. This is the optional animal skin package, just boosting up the price and making summertime more sweaty. And inside the Mazda 3, let's check it out. So rather this low seating position, headroom, 1m86 or 6'1", still okay. Steering wheel manual control was actually also nicely done. So it is a very sporty atmosphere indeed. That's also different if you compare previous generation Mazda 3 to this one now. Definitely a sportier feeling. Overall, quite good seating position. And now to the Mazda CX-30. Door closing sound is actually a little bit better, both front and rear. So better door closing sound for the CX-30. That might be a very good reason to go for that one, wouldn't it? Then inside of the doors, also soft touch, but not as soft as with the Mazda 3. A little bit more sensual design right here. Then we have today a bright interior, but it's also animal skin. It would also start with black fabric seats, which are the way to go for. You see the rest of the cockpit is pretty much similar. So of course they use a lot of same parts as for that. And now comes the main reason to go for the SUV. It's the more upright seating position, and indeed it is more relaxed. You sit higher and immediately you feel it's more comfort. So far most of the things rather speak for the Mazda 3, design, trunk, also legroom, but here in the front with the cockpit here definitely speaks for the CX-30 because it's just more relaxed as for the seating position. Unless you want it sportier intentionally, then of course it's the Mazda 3. Interior overview, Mazda CX-30, soft touch materials here, that's well done, and also here the climate unit. Yes, thank you so much. Double thumbs up for saving the manual climate unit, and it has a really good quality also with this knurling around. Seat heating, this is such a straightforward cockpit. It's just easy to control. Thank you, Mazda. Left side, 7-inch screen, but just the middle part is a screen. And this ring is also analog, and the other 2 rings are analog as well. So it's a mix of digital and analog, but actually easy and clear to read everything you might possibly need. And you can click through here in the middle part here, for example, also have the digital speedometer. And the head-up display, guess what? With both vehicles, that's also standard equipment. Infotainment screen, not via touch. They say they do that intentionally for safety reasons, but it's actually easy to control, also without touch. And here the sat-nav looks nice with the water simulation right there and does the job definitely. And the menu structure is kept quite lean. That's why I like that. On the right side, then a hotkey to the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. This is also standard equipment, and you can get very well along with that. Here's the map view of the Apple CarPlay, for example. They go back right here, or to the music, and this optional Bose sound system actually has a quite decent sound. Woo. Cup holders here in the front, also adaptive. Then we have a manual gearbox for today, and so cool, they also have these, very crisp gears, I will also call it in that way. So very short ways and also really nice feedback when shifting. Love that. Then this is how you control the infotainment system, also with nice clicking sounds and the proper hotkeys. So very well done by Mazda once again. And here also the volume knob. Then we have soft touch leatherette armrest. You slide it back, and then really substantial space right here, and with the smartphone, but also with the inductive charging pad underneath. And the rear view camera, good resolution with both vehicles, and also the fake drone view from above is an option. Here, and you can see the camera underneath the side mirror. Ooh. Now the interior of the Mazda 3, I'm telling you that because it's almost identical, so the same design lines, same materials being used, different other color codes now, but that's about the trim level and so on. Screen is also the same, and also with the control from the lower part and the climate unit and so on. So this is really identical. The difference is here that in the Mazda 3 you just sit lower, and therefore you also have a little bit more distance to the things to control it, but still everything very well to reach. Good user interface, it's simple the way it's supposed to be, and so much standard equipment with the head-up display, with the adaptive cruise control here set on the steering wheel, also standard equipment, and blind spot monitor, also standard equipment. Such a fair package for the customer. Welcome to Thomas's comparison driving lounge here, Mazda 3 first, and since we have the Sky Active X, it behaves like a turbo engine, more or less, so that's different than from the naturally aspirated engine at Mazda. And the good thing is here you also can keep it in higher gears and you still have some acceleration power. With the pure naturally aspirated engines at Mazda, you always have to go in the lower gears and really turn them up. The linear power output is really cool with these, but with the Sky Active X, it's just more relaxing to drive. And at the same time, you also have more power when you need it, and still in third gear or something, you still get some kind of an acceleration. And that's overall, of course, a more pleasing driving feeling when you have just more power and you don't have to shift that much. At the same time, the consumption will not be higher than with the normal naturally aspirated engine. That's the key element, definitely. In general, Mazda 3, good steering input, so really precise, and it feels so natural. So the combination of how you feel as a driver, the car, the steering input, and the road, Mazda calls that Jin by Ita. Yes, it's marketing speech called like unity of horse and rider, but in this case it's really true. It really works. So it's a lot of fun to drive this vehicle, and you buy a normal compact hatch, but you already have so much driving fun. That's the cool thing about this car. You don't have to spend a lot of money to have a fun vehicle. This is a normal vehicle, for a normal affordable price. And already you can get a lot of driving fun. That's cool. And here also blind spot monitor, first visual, then acoustic. And that's once again the cool thing. Blind spot monitor, adaptive cruise control, head-up display, all standard. And I would wish that more manufacturers just offer these features as standard equipment. It's so exhausting always to have this, this is an option, this is an option, and oh yeah, there's also an option. That's not the case here with the Mazda. There are options still, yes. For example, also the 18-inch wheels in the design package and the Matrix LED lamps. At least, that's one design package then, and that's basically it. That was a 0 to 50 acceleration, not too exaggerated, so in a, let's say, normal style. motorway. And it's again, when you're driving slowly, still relaxed feeling. You have the lower seating position. So if you compare it to the CX-30, we'll soon see that the CX-30 does offer more comfort than this one. However, here, the Mazda 3, just more engaging to drive. You just have this driving fun. That's the cool thing about this vehicle. Since for the new generation, they have also worked on the seat ergonomics. If you compare this Mazda 3 with the previous generation Mazda 3, you already have more seating comfort right here. So that's also a thing we can really appreciate. Shifting the gears, what we told you in the interior part is such a crisp thing to do. So this is one of the rare vehicles here with the Mazdas where I say, yes, no problem, go for the manual gearbox, because the manual gearbox is so much fun. Very short ways to shift, and then also the feedback you get, it's not too hard, it's just exactly right. You get a sporty kind of feedback. So yes, automatic gearboxes are relaxing to drive, but this one here, once again, a very engaging gearbox. And I would in this case also both, Mazda 3 and the Mazda CX-30 go with the manual gearbox. You save fuel, you have more driving fun. These are among the best manual gearboxes on the market. And the automatic gearboxes by Mazda, even though they have been updated now, a little bit, are in general outdated and have also higher fuel consumption. When you ask me about all-wheel drive versus front-wheel drive is definitely enough for these vehicles. The situations where you need the all-wheel drive, unless you are in your living surrounding, really requires all-wheel drive. Other than that, rather save the money for that. Now what's happening? 60 kilometers to 80, third gear. There we go. And this is really the difference than here from the Sky Active X engine. You still have power also when you are in the third gear. That's no problem. And that's just more relaxing and of course more powerful at the same time. It's still not a super performing engine, so there are competitors which have just more horsepower to offer. Mazda is not the manufacturer that offers the most horsepower, but still, it's actually reasonably powered than here. Third gear really pulling up now. Now we're going a little bit faster. We have unlimited motorway speed right now here. So that's 150 kilometers an hour. Very well sitting on the road and very calm and collected feeling. Put in one more lane change. Wow, it's so much fun, and it's also still really good as for the noise insulation. So even here at higher speeds, very good noise insulation. I'm looking forward how that one turns out with the Mazda CX-30, if it might be louder or something because of the SUV building style. So, flawless driving experience here with the Mazda 3, and especially the engaging drive, top notch. Now the CX-30 acceleration second gear from 40 kilometers. That's 130 kilometers an hour. So again, not super powerful, but definitely way more powerful than we would have with the naturally aspirated engines. Here now at higher speeds, noise insulation, I don't feel a big difference, I have to say. So maybe a little bit or something, but it's still, really good, really silent. So also comparable then to the Mazda 3 hatch. The steering feeling and so on, this is actually also identical. Not of course the identical driving feeling overall, but just the steering input, also very natural. Also how the gears are put in this very crisp way. That's once again really, really cool. It's just that you have this more upright seating position and the body roll is a little bit increased, so it leans more inside the corners. So for a sporty driving feeling, that's of course not that good. However, if you think about the comfortable driving experience now, when we say we go to the motorway and just relax a little bit more and just drive it, then it's actually better because you just feel like a little bit calmer, more upright and so on. And This is really the thing where I would also decide about these two vehicles. If the sporty, engaging driving fun is more important to you, then go for the Mazda 3. If you more seek comfort in the higher seating position, then go for the Mazda CX-30. It could also be a use case. For example, I would think about how will I use this vehicle if I drive short ways in the city and so on, and like to have some sporty driving fun every day. Probably go for the Mazda 3. And if I more think about, yeah, I don't want to buy a big vehicle or don't want to pay so much money for a huge car, but still I want a comfortable motorway vehicle and I have longer journeys quite often, then the CX-30 is the better choice for you. Once again, very cool with a fun manual gearbox. We also have the same setup here, manual gearbox, Sky Active X engine and also front wheel drive. So that's pretty much comparable. As for the day, this one here 0.2 seconds slower in the acceleration because it stands a little bit more towards the wind. Yeah, however, this is not really a difference you would feel. The overview is better here when I look to the rear and also look to the sides. Definitely a better overview. But the B-pillars are both quite thick and secure. And the good thing is we have the blind spot monitor standard once again. And that's why it's also not a big issue that the B-pillars are thick and you cannot really see so much there. So once again, I really enjoy also the standard equipment with the vehicles we have right here. Here, when I go left, right here now, once again, very good steering input. People probably think now, this guy is super crazy. What is he doing? Is he drunk? Is there police right here? No, but definitely more body roll. Not sure if you can see it on camera. With the Mazda 3, it just kept upright. Platform-wise, and the stiffness of the chassis is the same with both vehicles. So you feel also this in this new generation of the Mazda 3. That's also transported here to the CX-30. You just have a lot of body stiffness and you profit from that, basically any time. One more last remark as for difference CX-30 and CX-3, that's also interesting. The CX-3, of course, the older vehicle somewhat. In a lot of markets, you have more discount on it, and it's just a cheaper vehicle. And it's also a little bit smaller. It's also quite fun to drive, but of course, with the modern technology we have here, modern infotainment system, and also the extended standard equipment, I don't see so much reason anymore to go for the CX-3 when the CX-30 is actually available. Then I would say it's just once again the choice between the Mazda 3 and the CX-30. As for the fuel economy, as I said, it doesn't make much difference if you go for the Sky Active X or the normal petrol engine, because the Sky Active X has this diesel-like fuel-saving technology with the self-ignition. And depending on the drive style and how much you push it, you will end up between 6 and 7 liters on 1 kilometers. So yeah, something towards the higher 30 mpg regions. What do you think here from our driving parts? Let's hop to our final conclusion. And now to our conclusion for today. Mazda 3 compact hatch versus Mazda CX-30, the compact SUV. It's a tough choice because price-wise they come very close. Highest trim here today for both vehicles, so they're both around 35,000 euros. However, this one here, 1,500 euros more expensive. Yeah, but usually I always tell you rather keep it low or mid-spec trim, because this is the best thing about both vehicles. They come with so much standard equipment. This is a very fair deal for the customer, and then you can also score less than $30,000 or less than 30,000 euros. That's a cool thing with both vehicles. Styling wise, definitely the Mazda 3 is my favorite. I mean, the Soul Red Crystal or the Magma Red, depending on the market you call it, is one of the coolest colors they have. The polymetallic gray is also cool, and you can get it for both vehicles, vice versa, that's no problem. But definitely the hatch styling, with the very strong shoulder areas in the rear, that's just so much cooler, isn't it? At least I think so. Interior-wise, the cockpit is actually almost identical. However, now, the seating position in the Mazda CX-30 in the SUV is just more upright, and that's why it's also more comfortable on long-term journeys. Yeah. Then again, the trunk in the Mazda 3 is a little bit longer. Driving-wise, the Mazda 3 definitely sportier choice. Power-wise and so on, not such a difference. Then Sky Active X engine is good if you want the best performance, and I also would, meanwhile say go for that one because the naturally aspirated engine, they lack a little bit of power if you do some motorway acceleration and so on. If you want the best price performance deal, then of course you could still go for the base spec engines. So driving wise, definitely sportier with the Mazda 3 just from this handling. However, the Mazda CX-30 for an SUV, for a compact SUV, it still has some of a sportier handling. So if you ask me, if I want to drive away with one car now and have more fun, I would pick the Mazda 3. But if you tell me, pick one vehicle for a longer period of time and also use it for longer motorway journeys, I would go with the Mazda CX-30. So if you use it as a primary vehicle for most stuff and for long journeys, Mazda CX-30 is my pick. If, however, it's more a secondary vehicle in the family and you want more sporty driving fun, whereas your primary vehicle is one that doesn't deliver so much sporty driving fun, then the Mazda 3 is an intelligent pick. So that's my verdict for today. What's yours?